This is a real secret message from a hostage. Welcome back, Charlie here. If you're taken hostage by someone, it can be almost impossible to escape. But these genius hostages found a way to get secret messages to their rescuers, all without their kidnappers even realizing. First, we have to look at this pizza rescue message. In 2015, a woman was kidnapped in Florida, USA, but managed to use the Pizza Hut app to get help. Cheryl Treadway had an argument with her boyfriend, Ethan Nickerson. This resulted in Ethan kidnapping Cheryl and not letting her leave the house. He had a knife, so there was no way for Cheryl to escape. Ethan also took away her phone, meaning that she couldn't call for help. Cheryl and Ethan's 3 kids were also in the house with them. Eventually, Cheryl convinced Ethan to let her order some pizza for the kids. Cheryl used the Pizza Hut app to make the order, and on the special instructions part wrote, "Please help, get 911 to me." She also left a comment saying 911 hostage help. Thankfully, Pizza Hut staff noticed this and immediately called 911. When cops showed up, Ethan let Cheryl leave with one of their kids. After many hours of negotiation, the cops also got the other 2 kids out of the house, before finally arresting Ethan. Ethan Nickerson was charged with kidnapping, armed assault, and obstruction of justice, and was given a long prison sentence. Who knew the Pizza Hut app could be so useful? Moving on, we have to look at this airplane bathroom rescue. In 2011, Sheila Frederick was working as a flight attendant on an Alaska Airlines flight. That's when she noticed 2 strange-looking passengers. There was a well-dressed man and a scruffy teenage girl traveling together. The girl seemed very frightened and scared. When Sheila tried to talk to the girl, the man interrupted and answered the questions for her. This made Sheila very suspicious. So she wrote a note asking if the girl needed help and put it in the airplane bathroom. Sheila then silently gestured for the girl to go into the bathroom. The girl went into the bathroom and then sat back down in her seat. Sheila then went back into the bathroom to check on the note. And indeed, on Sheila's note, the girl had written that she needs help. It turned out the girl was a victim of human trafficking. Sheila immediately alerted the pilot, and the police were notified in advance. When the plane landed, the trafficker was arrested, and thankfully the girl was saved. Thankfully, the girl had a totally normal life after this ordeal. She went to college, got a job, and is still in contact with Sheila today. If it wasn't for Sheila, this girl's life could have been ruined. After this happened, airlines began training their staff to spot trafficking victims. Noticing trafficking can be very easy if you know what to look out for. Victims may seem scared. They may not know the final purpose of the trip. They may respond with prepared phrases, or whoever's with them may do all the talking for them. Sheila says if you see something suspicious on a flight, then always try to help. Moving on, we have to look at Morse code. In 1965, American Jeremiah Denton's jet was shot down. This was during the Vietnam War. Jeremiah was taken as a prisoner of war by the North Vietnamese. He was a very high-ranking soldier, so the North Vietnamese forced him to do a TV interview. He was asked various questions and forced to give answers, making the USA look bad. But during the interview, Jeremiah kept blinking. He told the North Vietnamese it was because of the bright TV lights. But actually, those blinks were Morse code. When the US decoded them, they realized that he was spelling out the word torture. This was very scary for the US government to realize, because until now they had no idea that American prisoners of war were being tortured. Jeremiah Denton spent 8 years as a prisoner, until he was finally released in 1973. Jeremiah was given many awards for his bravery, which included delivering this risky message hidden in plain sight. Now we have to look at this sweatshop message. One day, Nicole Perez bought a pair of underwear for her daughter, but when she opened the packaging, she found something very scary. Inside the packaging was a tiny message. It said, "Help me, please." On the back of the paper, it said the name Mayan. It also had a phone number and said Philippines. The underwear was labeled "Made in the Philippines." Clearly, this was a note from a sweatshop worker. It's very likely that Mayan was being forced to make these underwear. Sadly, sweatshops are common in many countries, including the Philippines. People, often kids, are forced to work all day, every day. They're paid very little money or sometimes no money at all. Nicole emailed the company telling them what she found, but the company simply apologized and offered to send Nicole a new pair. But Nicole was worried for Mayanne. She tried to call the number on the paper, but it didn't go through. Hopefully Mayanne is okay. Despite efforts to get in contact with her, no one's been able to yet. But it's a sad reality that many people are working in sweatshops around the world. Moving on, I have to tell you about the 911 pizza call. One day, a police dispatcher named Keith Weisinger got a bizarre call. He answered the call and said, "911, what is your emergency?" The woman then said her address. Keith then said, "Okay, what's going on?" And that's when the woman said, "I'd like to order a pizza for delivery." Keith was very confused and thought it was a prank call. So that's why he said, "Ma'am, you've reached 911. The woman then said, "Yeah, I know. Can I have a large pepperoni pizza?" At this point, Keith was getting annoyed and said, "I'm sorry, you know you've called 911, right?" To which the woman said, "Yes. Do you know how long it will be?" This is when Keith got suspicious. He then said, "Ma'am, is everything okay? Do you have an emergency?" Which is when the woman said, "Yes, I do." Keith then asked, "Can you not talk about it because someone's in the room with you?" The woman then replied, "That's correct. Do you know how long it will be?" Keith realized what was going on and told the woman that he has an officer coming to the house right away. It turned out the woman was being kidnapped by her boyfriend. She wasn't able to call the police because he was in the room with her, which is why she decided to covertly call 911 pretending it was a pizza delivery. When cops arrived at the house, they found the woman beaten up. Her drunken boyfriend was also in the house, but thankfully cops soon arrested him, and the woman was taken to safety. Keith praised the woman for her very quick thinking. Moving along, let's look at this silent hostage message. One day in Florida, USA, a car pulled up to a Kangaroo Express gas station. But that's when the gas station employee noticed something odd. When the man driving the car got out, a woman was inside. And when the guy got out to fill up the car, the woman began mouthing, "Help." It turned out the woman had been kidnapped by a man named Jose Ramos Sandoval. Jose had offered the woman a ride, but when she tried to leave, Jose said no. The woman knew that there was no way she could call for help because Jose would hear, so she decided to simply mouth the word help to the employee. Thankfully, the Kangaroo Express employee was very perceptive. He immediately called 911. Police were able to save the woman and arrest Jose, all thanks to the gas station workers' perspicacity. Next, we have to look at this pizza delivery rescue. In 2018, a Domino's delivery man saved a woman who was kidnapped by her ex-boyfriend. Joey Grundle dropped off a pizza at a house in Wisconsin. When Joey was handing over the pizza, he saw a woman inside the house who didn't look well. The woman had a black eye. She was standing behind the man getting the pizza, but pointed to her black eye and mouthed the word help. That was enough for Joey to realize something was wrong. So as soon as he left the house, he dialed 911. When the police arrived on the scene, they realized that the ex-boyfriend had broken into the woman's house. He had then injured the woman and taken her hostage. The man named Dean Hoffman was arrested and charged with 5 felonies, including kidnapping and false imprisonment. Thankfully, the woman was saved and is now totally fine. All thanks to this Domino's pizza delivery guy. I sure hope she gave him a tip after all that. Finally, we have to look at this prisoner message. In 2017, Laura Wallace bought a purse from Walmart, but when she got home, she found a scary note inside. It was written in Chinese and was from a desperate prisoner. The note said that prisoners were being forced to work for 14 hours per day, making things like handbags and other pieces of clothing. The note said they were not given any breaks, and if they didn't finish their work in time, they were beaten. The note also says they have to work even when they're sick. Some say this proves that Western companies are using Chinese prison slaves. We all know that Chinese prisons are incredibly brutal. It's scary to think some products you use may have been made by these poor prisoners. I just hope the Chinese government didn't find out which prisoner wrote this note. Otherwise, he may not be alive today. Now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Which of these secret hostage messages was the most genius? If you want to see my short videos, then check out my second channel. I've been Charlie. Thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.